Hi, welcome to Healthy Balance. I'm Lilybeth Andre, and I welcome you to today's program. I have a special guest, and we will be talking about holistic health and emotional health. My guest is Nanette Tashnek. She completed a master's in social work. She's a certified Eidetic Imagery trainer, and she also is a transformational life coach, and she's completed a diploma of pastoral science and medicine. She previously practiced traditional psychotherapy for over 18 years and has used Austin Eidetic Imagery for 19 years to help individuals transform long-standing emotional and physical challenges. Nanette specializes in life satisfaction, family constellation, women's issues and empowerment, couples and relationships, money and career success, assertion and communication skills, trauma, accident, health satisfying in aging, which is important to us, grief and loss, and diversity. So Nanette, welcome to Healthy Balance.
Thank you, Lilybeth. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's just such a delight and a pleasure to be with you.
Well, I'm glad you're here because I wanted to stress on the emotional health component of holistic health. We talk about our physical health and we talk about our spiritual health, but our emotional health is the root of all issues, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So I'm very glad that you're here so that we can establish how helping our emotional health can actually improve our overall health in many areas, not just our physical and spiritual health, but also in the way that we live. So why don't you give us a little bit of information on eidetic imagery? What is that?
Well, the term eidetic actually is a term that was discovered by the ancients, and they found that these were deep images within the deeper mind that had powers, that they were connected to healing, that they had access to potentials, and their images deep within the mind, and they're stored actually in our brain. Our entire life is stored in our deeper brain, our deeper mind, and we actually quickly have access to those images in our lives to heal up any negative memories, negative messages, any traumas, any old developmental issues. And we can quickly move all that. In addition, the beauty of eidetic images is that they aren't just in the mind. They are in the mind and they are connected to the body process. So then these images were studied in the 1930s by some doctors and psychologists, and then my mentor, Dr. Austin, picked it up and developed the whole field of eidetics and created the field of image psychology. And through his research, years and years and years of research and developing systems for different kinds of problems, he discovered an amazing healing modality, which is really considered psychosomatics.
Mm-hmm.
So eidetics as a method is a holistic method. It's very systematic, it's experiential, and it works with the images deep in the mind. And it opens up, when you do this work, it opens up blocked pockets in your body that are energy trapped, trapped energy.
Well, we talk about our emotional health and trauma, for example. This could be being very upset at someone today. It could be a very serious situation that we live through. We talk about having a positive attitude and how that can help our health from the cellular level. But are there traumas or are there circumstances that have happened that maybe we're not acknowledging and that are affecting our life?
Well, absolutely. That's really the core of Eidetics, is to get to the root cause of the symptoms that appear in the present. So these images are miraculous, actually, in that they hold the past, they hold the present, and they also hold the future, each image. And so, yeah, people right now that are having lots of anxiety, depression, and isolation uh, during the pandemic are also experiencing some anxieties and traumas from the past if they haven't worked it at a deep level, worked it out of the body. So you're seeing a lot of PTSD in people, re-experience of traumas. And yeah, things in the present are actually influenced by things in the past.
Mm-hmm. So what we're basically saying is that it could be something that was planted early on and that is now connecting with current circumstances.
Yes.
How can you help people identify that?
Well, this is an alternative to talk therapy. And we have a very, very systematic assessment. We assess people by asking their history. We want to look at the medical history a little bit. And then we take imagery assessments. We have 2 of them for 2 different things. And once we put all of those assessments together, we develop a strategic plan to begin the work. Both of our assessments are therapeutic. So when you're doing the imagery assessments, you're actually moving negative material at the same time.
For example, say that we're talking about the pandemic. We have people that are working on some of our protocols, and they may be working with homeopathics and herbals and maybe supplements, and we're coaching them, and we can maybe identify that there's a deeper cause that is affecting them during this time. Mm-hmm. So how can they work with you?
Well, again, I would certainly try to do the assessments, and the assessments will pretty much pinpoint where we think the original anxiety is. For example, I'm just thinking of several years ago, someone came with anxiety and panic attacks. And I did the evaluation, and as we opened up the images, they start talking to us. Mm-hmm. They'll open the tapestry. It's a beautiful thing that the mind does. It creates this overlays of a beautiful tapestry, and through the eidetic process, it's just very easy to pinpoint, and discovered that the anxiety really was connected to a loss and family of origin issues around that loss. Mm-hmm. And so the panic went away in a short, I think it was about 10 sessions. Mm-hmm. So very quickly, it's a lot different than talking about it.
Yes.
Get right to the root.
Now, I know you have a extensive history of psychotherapy work. Tell me what the difference is. Why did you choose to go this route?
Well, that's a good question. I was working in psychiatric hospitals early on in my career, and the hospital was also a med-surg hospital. And so I was seeing patients that had emotional disturbances, psychological disturbances, all kinds of traumas, those people in intensive care units, but they also had tremendous physical problems. And I just couldn't bear it. I couldn't bear it. At the same time, I developed chronic fatigue syndrome pretty extensively.
Too much work.
And on top of that, multiple chemical sensitivities. And I
Okay.
did become disabled. So I started searching in the alternative arenas, mainly out of frustrations. The body wasn't being considered exactly. And the mind, I felt like the mind was being cut off. The head was being cut off from the body. And I just didn't feel that I was doing enough in this revolving door scenario. So I really started searching. And I trained in a hands-on somatic experiencing work called Radix. And through Radix, a group of us came to Eidetics, and then we all trained in it. And as a result, I saw miracles coming out of my cases. I was working in day hospitals. I did some of this stuff in hospitals. And I just said, this is way beyond the training I've had. And so I just plowed into it.
Well, it definitely has a holistic perspective because you're looking at far more than just the immediate activity of the individual.
Yes.
So how do you help people bring it all together?
Well, again, we just we find out what they want to work on. I mean, there's different ways to work, and then there's different levels of work. And certainly giving people images to just help them in with the anxiety at the topical level can have tremendous effects, even at that level. Some people that really just want to get to the root cause and get rid of the symptoms, we work a little bit more deeply and systematically after we do all of these assessments.
Mm-hmm. Now, how about trauma that has occurred generationally?
Well, good question. We work with all of it. We work with, this is not just psychology. This is inclusive of sociology, literature, the arts, religious studies, little bit of anthropology and psychology. So it's real broad.
Mm-hmm.
And we can get to generational traumas via we have specific images for that, but it's also the collective gene pool of consciousness, which is a kind of a different term than Jung has. And all of these images are connected between you and me, between me and everybody, and even at the higher levels.
Mm-hmm. Back to what we say, that we're all really connected, right?
We are connected, but I've read a lot from a lot of people, and even Dr. Austin says that we're all connected. We are one, but we are also separate.
We are individuals.
Yes. We are connected on some levels, but we have our own abilities.
Nanette, I know you also do group sessions. Tell me about that.
Yes, actually, group was my passion, even as a clinical therapist. And I got into creating lots of experiential groups because I liked that. It was more active, it was more fun.
Mm-hmm.
And once I got into Eidetics, I received training in a lot of different topics. And from those, I created workshops. And another reason I did that was to augment people's work who came to me for individual work. And also, it was a way for people to not have to do so much individual work, and it saved resources. But the other thing is, people's work moves faster in Eidetics because it is a flow of consciousness. And so your group member over there's images are moving your images without you even knowing. And it's profound. And so I've created probably 25 workshops over the years to help people and groups, but I found the workshops better.
Mm-hmm.
On a lot of different topics. Yeah.
Sure, because I can see how you can expedite learning and progress by having everyone working together.
Mm-hmm. And it's a feel-good group. It's not a group where there's confrontation or direct feedback. And the group members are empowered because they are participants in the healing process for the other group members. And I like that. a lot. And I use the group itself for interventions when people get stuck. I like to use the group process.
Now,
and the important thing about that and what's going on now is we're getting a lot of information. We're bombarded with, you should do this, you should do that. And I think it shadows our own internal wisdom. And so I'm going to create a little group for that. And in these groups in Eidetics, the internal wisdom that comes through these images gets shared with other people, and it helps heal other people. Mm-hmm. It's not about so much the leader.
Yes. Now, what are some of the subjects that you had in groups over the last few years? What are your more recent or most needed sessions?
Yeah, so the one group I call Personal Success Genetics is actually our imagery assessment of your development. And I put that into a group format because I felt like some people just needed to do it that way. It's less expensive than going through, 6 or 7 or 8 sessions or 10 sessions, and I would have the assessment and their material would move a lot faster. So that's one on development. And then the other one that's really popular that I find, it's also on development, but it's different. It's not about the mother and father. It's about your growing up experiences. And I call it healthy, satisfying living through stages of consciousness. Mm-hmm. And it's your life from 0 to 2, 2 to 4, 6 to 8 to 10, and all the way up, even past your current age. We go into the future, and it heals events that happened in your life, and it brings lots of energy because you loosen up a lot of material. So I put that in. Those are the two really foundational groups. Then the other group that's popular is the work in money, which is boost your money potential. And that gets to the underlying causes of the blocks to money. Mm-hmm. And people don't know exactly what that's about. And so that's been a real popular one.
Well, good. Now, how can someone identify whether they're a candidate for your consulting services?
Oh, well, that's a good question. So everybody can do Eidetics. I've worked even with 5-year-olds. I've worked with 84-year-olds. It's, do they resonate with it, I offer 2 free things up front. One is a 20-minute consult just to see if there's a fit, if what I do can help. And then I offer a free full hour session and put people in an experience of Eidetics and explain, what the process might be like. So I give people chances. The other thing that I've done recently is I've created some short-term packages. So if someone has some topical anxiety right now and they really didn't want to go to any long-term length of sessions, I could give them 4 sessions for a package and give them a lot of relief on this anxiety just with some particular images.
Mm-hmm. And then they could identify if there are other issues they'd like to work further, mm-hmm. and perhaps come back for more. Okay, well, it's a good introduction.
Or, I have people that had, in the past have just came to my groups, got all their work done in all these various workshops that I did, and didn't have the need really to come to individual therapy. And that was the purpose of me creating these workshops, is mm-hmm. so people, it was affordable to everyone.
Sure, I can imagine.
And they get a lot of deep work, in the groups that I create, the workshops I create.
Now, one of the things, it's Eidetic Imagery. Do you have to be an artist to participate?
No. Actually, everybody is an artist. And the really cool thing about this work that I've never seen in anything else is when you do this work, you're hidden potentials, your unrealized potentials will come out. I'll give you an example of myself. I was an artist as a child. Then I became an interior designer. Then I became a social worker. I was never really a writer, never. But I got through graduate school. And after going through the training in Eidetics, I started writing. I started writing poetry. I'm saying, where did this come from? And it's happened for many of my clients. They will get a career because some of their work or an image broke out and they decided that's what they wanted to do. It's amazing. So there are hidden potentials.
Sure.
And the way I like to say that is, if you look at the seed of an apple, some people will look at the seed of an apple and say, oh, that's just a seed, right? But if you look deeper, what could the seed of the apple become? It could become a little seedling. It could become a little plant. It could become a huge tree and produce more apples with thousands of seeds. That is the process that actually exists in our deeper mind. And that is the way your potentials will come out during eidetic work.
Well, it sounds intriguing. One of the things that I say is that everyone has a certain skill set, and we are made to communicate through that skill set. But if we don't use it, or because we're shut down about it growing up, we forget that method of expression. And as you say, maybe they were artists all along, and that was something that the door was closed on, and they said, oh, I'm not really an artist because that's what they told me. So, and that could be with any skill, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've had people, I remember two people just literally got careers from they just bolstered out of their work. I've had people who financially just multiplied their businesses, expanded their businesses because they did the personal success genetics work, which was the developmental work at ground level, and then did, the money workshops and maybe a few other workshops. So the change is radical if you commit to the work.
Mm-hmm.
If you consider 60 years of problems,
Yes.
you can't get over that in, just a short amount of time. But this work is much faster than psychotherapy, and it is, the success rate is very, very high.
Well, we're used to seeing things in a certain way, and we're used to listening to things in a certain way. And many times that's not exactly what's happening. And sometimes those things could be holding us back. So you help people identify what those hiccups are so that they can remove them and suddenly see the light through that. Mm-hmm. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, and the main thing I think that's very cool about Eidetics, it's just a triple code model. It's a complex, but there's the image itself. Each image, they're holographic. Each image has emotions attached to it, sensations, and perception. Perception is our meaning. So let's say if we have a trauma, a car accident, and we could hold that perception about that car accident and all the stuck physical symptoms and emotional symptoms about that for most of our life. But working through trauma like that, you begin to open up the images and see more. You lift the physical symptoms and the emotional symptoms out of the mind and then out of the body. Then you begin to see your perception of that trauma totally differently.
Yes.
And so it's all about perception. Perception will change the way you feel about things, the way you believe about things, the way you act. It'll change everything.
Now, Nanette, if anyone should have any questions or comments, I'm going to ask them to write them down here so that we can follow up with them and respond to them. And we will also go ahead and list how they can get in touch with you. What would be the best way?
I have a secure line now, phone number, which is 832 700. Oh, now see, it's a brand new number, so I forgot. They can call my current number, 713-206-6462. And I have a website. It's Nanette Tashnek Eidetics.com.
Okay, so how can people get a hold of you?
Calling is really the best. I prefer to speak with people.
Okay, great. All right, well, thank you, Nanette, for joining us today. I really appreciate that you've been here and given us all this wonderful information. It sounds very exciting, and I hope that people explore the imagery with you. It would certainly be a part of a holistic makeup into their improved health, emotional health, that is. So, folks, thank you for joining me. This is Lily Beth Andre with Healthy Balance, and we'll see you next time.